Halls of a Four Seasons loft. In Austin, I stalled, pause. My eyes crawl to a table. Paralyzed by pairwise dice, then attend to this heaven slice of an angel wrapped in skin. Throw dice and woes of life. Love deprived, looking to revive. What's the meaning of life? One subjective paradise. Crystal chandeliers, moments reflected. Often mirrors appear clear, grinning from ear to ear. Craving and raving the grain, rekindle the flame. Closer she draws near. Stay there, remove your underwear, shove it somewhere over there. In paradise, in paradise. We know our purpose. In paradise, in paradise. We know what our worth is. In paradise, in paradise. We manifest dreams. In paradise, truth is what you conceive. Are you?
Hey, hello everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Unpopular Hour Women Only Wednesdays. And today we're going to have a good show. I'm excited about it. We're going to talk about a little bit about the NFL, the wide receivers. We're going to, of course, talk about one of my favorite subjects, which, of course, is the NBA and basketball. Shocking to you all who know me really well, right? Right. But anyway, there was some good games last night, and tonight is what the game that I'm really excited about, and I think everybody's been talking about is the Nets and against the Celtics. So we're going to get into that, but first of all, we're going to start out talking a little bit about football and the divas that are going on. I mean, it's the quarterbacks, now it's the wide receivers, even though I can't really blame them. Look at the money's being thrown out there. Who is not going to want to get paid the amount of money that's being thrown out there? I mean, Tyreek 30. You know, why wouldn't you? I mean, it's the wide receivers are finally getting their due. I mean, it's always been the quarterback. It was running backs for a while, and now it's the wide receivers that are finally receiving their big payday. But I agree with Andy Reid, and I agree with what the Chiefs did. There's no way you can pay him $30 million, and of course Tyreek OSU guy. There's no way you can pay him $30 million. I mean, you just can't. He's aging out. If it would have been, this would have been his second contract, so he would have been what at that time, 25ish, 24ish. Yeah, then probably I could see him doing that, but reaching 30, I just don't see how you can afford to pay him that amount of money. Plus, on the fact that you're trying to compete in the toughest division probably in football, that would be the AFC West, along with the NFC West, because everybody's just reloaded in the West, AFC West, NFC West, and we'll talk about that as well because Kyler Murray, of course, is in the NFC West, and he's doing what he's doing as far as excuse me, want to get paid early, and we talked about that. I believe on yesterday's show, the Monday show, we talked about how Kyler Murray's wanting to get paid, and to me, it's like, okay, Kyler, I get it. I understand why you want to get paid. I understand. You could get hurt, and I get all that. And hey, by all means, brother, go get your money if you can. But maybe one more year on your resume might do it. Because the Cardinals got the money set aside to pay you. I mean, let's face it, they already know what they want to pay you. Now, you being a little childish the way you're acting about it, maybe not childish, but the way you're going about it, possibly could bother them at some point. And then when you look at the wide receivers, starting with Debo Samuels, and because when I was talking about this, and you look at the NFL holdouts, I mean, we start with Debo Samuel from the 49ers. I mean, the all-purpose guy. I mean, he runs routes. He runs screens. He can catch long passes. He scores touchdown multiple ways. He's a lot like Tyreek, but he's a bigger Tyreek, but not as fast. But he does a lot of the similar things with them that he does. So, and then Cooper Cup does kind of the same things where he will run, get praised as far as a running back. He will catch screens. He will catch short passes over the middle. You can put him in the slot or you can put him outside and he can go deep. A.J. Brown, of course, from the Titans. Big body, can do a lot of things. Great wide receiver, and I agree he's the number one target, and he should get paid by the Titans. Terry McLaurin, the Commanders. That is just who came up with the damn name Commanders? I just don't understand that. I like you better as the Washington football team than I do the Commanders. I understand you're in D.C. and I get it, the Naval Academy, Commanders, and I can understand that, but the Washington Commanders, that just does not sound good. And the Washington Redskins, I don't know why you fought back against changing the name. You should have did what the Kansas City Chiefs and the Hunts family did. They got what the tribes, the Indian tribes, and talked to them and said, hey, how can we be better? How can we do more? But when you look at these three guys and you look at what should they get paid, and now Debo Samuel is asking for a trade. And I'm sitting there going, okay, you've got one of the best offensive minds, if not the best offensive young mind in pro football, putting you in all kinds of positions for you to be successful. The 49ers want to pay you. We're getting ready to offer your contract. Now you're saying that you want to be traded. To where? Who do you think is going to maximize your potential the way that they can? Other than Andy Reid and the Chiefs, and they're not going to give you there. You're certainly not going to Sean McVay and the Rams. So traded where? Do you have a no trade contract, no trade clause where you get to pick where you want to go? I think not. So you can ask for a trade and make money, and you can be end up in somewhere where you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be winning games. I mean, think about this. You're on the West Coast. You're in a good organization with an amazing mind who's putting you in position to be to maximize all your potential, and you could possibly go somewhere for money and not be happy. I don't really get it. I don't understand the rationale behind it. I mean, bro, I just think that there's no way that you should even remotely even think about turning down um, what they're offering you right now. I mean, it makes zero sense to me. But once again, I'm not you. So I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what's happening in your life. And part of what we do as analysts, a part of what we do as far as talking about the different things and how people react differently, part of our job is to give our opinion. But I give my opinion on the outside because I'm not you. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know the relationship that you have with ownership. And neither does Baker Mayfield and us understanding the ownership and what's happening with the Browns. And neither do we understand what's happening with Kyler and the Cardinals. But when you listen to Patrick Peterson and you look at Edmonds and guys who played there, they think the organization is a joke. And it very well could be. And there very well could be other outlying issues between Kyler and the Cardinals. But in Debo Samuel's case, it's the same thing. So I don't know what's going on. I can only give you my opinion on, for me, looking from the outside, looking in. I'm not there. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what's happened there as far as inside necessarily the locker room, but inside management offices. We're not there. Only you guys are there, so only you guys know what you really want. But when you look at these three guys, all three of them, I mean, and if I look at the three, and I'm going, okay, of these three, who is the guy that I think is the most valuable of those? Clearly, it's Debo Samuel. Now, AJ Brown, you know, he's probably is he necessarily a product of his environment? Debo Samuel's for sure is. Terry McLaurin, you got a defensive AJ Brown both. They have defensive minded coaches. So for them to want to get paid from a defensive minded coach, uh, good luck on that. But Debo Samuels, you did get offered a contract, and the 49ers were going to offer you a contract, and you said, I want to be traded now, or that's the rumor. I don't really understand why you'd want to do that. That makes zero sense to me. But like I said earlier, uh, we're not there. We don't understand. We don't know. It's not our job to say what you should and should not do because let's face it, uh, it's on you. And you know what's best for you. And all I can say is, I don't understand why you'd want to go from the greatest young mind in football to go somewhere else and you don't get to pick where you get to go. I think that is a huge mistake on your part. But uh, you know, good luck. I hope everything works out well for you. Now, let's get into the fun part of the show. Okay, let's talk about the games today. Now, of course, in the Western Conference, there's 0 games today. All the 3 games are in the East. And of course, the one that everybody wants to talk about is the Nets versus the Celtics. And that's what everybody's excited about. Me as well. I'm excited to see the Nets and the Celtics too, because, I mean, quite frankly, the Nets should have won game 1. Uh, but once again, they like we talked about, ball you man, KD nor Kyrie were paying attention to what was going on, and let Jason Tatum slip back, do a great pass from Marcus Smart, and then of course the spin move layup. Now when we look at the Sixers and also let's go back to the Nets for a second. Now with Kyrie, as you know, Kyrie flipped off the fans, and we talked about that Monday. And so now we talk. And so when you look at what happened with Kyrie, it's like, hi, he got a $50,000 fine by the NBA, and the Celtic fans are gonna go nuts, even though Kyrie gave them all of the looks. He was deep, deep, deep in his bag of tricks uh, against the Celtics. I mean, they couldn't stop him. They had zero answer for him. So when I look at that, I'm going, man, Kyrie, can you afford to be an idiot and be suspended for a game? Now, will the NBA go that far? Man, I'd say that's an awful leap for them to go far enough to actually suspend you for a game. I don't really see that, but it is a possibility. So you have to be very careful. And just, I mean, he's doing anything he can do to build himself up and to get him going. But, bro, you can't do anything to be detrimental to your team, especially now. But I do believe this is the best series of all of them, the one that I'm looking forward to, and we'll have my popcorn out and my clubbies for tonight to watch that. And then you look at the Celtics, of course, they're up 1-0. And so that ought to be an interesting game tonight. I can't wait to see it. I believe the game's at 6 o'clock tonight. So that's going to be early, and I'm going to be looking forward to that. The Sixers and the Raptors, however, is going to be a little different story from the simple fact that the Sixers are going to be without one of their key players of because of him not taking the vaccine. So, which I don't understand. Uh, I just don't get why he would not. I mean, well, I do. He actually explained um, why he was doing what he was doing. He explained to why he is going to miss the game, uh, and so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that and how they respond because they got the next 2 games. They're in the Raptors, and the Raptors need to get at least one if they want to survive and succeed and possibly win it. The Bulls and the Bucks, I think the Bucks are going to smash these two. I don't see any. I don't see the Bulls. They just don't have enough weapons. To be honest with you, I don't think they have enough weapons to be able to hold down and to be able to keep up with the Bucks. And I think the Bucks are going to go up 2-0 pretty easily. And then probably, I mean, the Bulls may get one game at home, maybe. But we shall see how that works out. But I don't really know. I, my guess, my guess is that that probably is not going to happen. That they're going to get swept. Uh, I would like to see them at least get one win. That's what I mean. Because when you look at the other side of that, Milwaukee has to play the winner, and we're talking about. Let's go straight to the bracket right now so you can see what I'm saying. When you look down in the Eastern Conference, Milwaukee and Chicago. Well, Milwaukee has to play the winner of Boston and Brooklyn. And as Drew Henthorne and I talked about yesterday, that's going to be a slugfest. Those two are going to go at it, and tonight is going to be, and I think it's going to be hard for, even though I think Brooklyn will probably get the win tonight, I do look for Kevin Durant to just be an absolute monster and take care of business. And like we talked about, Philly and Toronto, uh, uh, what's going to happen with that? I think that Philly will handle their business. Uh, but like I said, Toronto will probably get one. And of course, we're going to talk about the Miami and Atlanta game. So anyway, we'll go more into detail about that. But like I said, when you look at Milwaukee, they want to go 4-0. They want to get some rest. They want to be healthy because they know that Boston and Brooklyn It's going to be a slugfest. If it goes less than 7 games, I'll be surprised. So Milwaukee does have an advantage on that side, but like we talked about, if Ben Simmons comes back for the Nets, I think the Nets can close out Boston, and I think that will give them an opportunity to be. Because I think Milwaukee really doesn't match up that well with Boston. Williams will be back. He can slow down Giannis a little bit. We're talking about the big man Williams from Boston. He'll be back from injury, so that should help them with that Milwaukee series. But once again, they've got to get past Brooklyn first before they can look ahead. So when you look at it, I'm excited to see the NBA. I love what's going on. And then we talked about last night what happened in the NBA. Surprising games last night. Of course, the biggest surprise is the Pelicans beating the Suns. That was the biggest surprise. Nobody expected that to happen. But Devin Booker went out with a hamstring injury. We don't know if he strained it, if he pulled it, how severe the injury is. He did walk off and he wasn't really grabbing it, even though he was moving slow. It looked like it was more tight than he had pulled it, because I pulled my hammy before and you instantly grab that bad boy, and it's one of the most painful injuries there are. And he did have 31 at that point going into uh, midway through the third quarter when it happened. He had 31, and the Suns were rolling at that point, even though Brandon Ingram was starting to heat up. But really, he really did heat up. He had 26 of his 37. And then we'll just talk about that right now. The stats. You look at the Pelicans. Ingram had 37, 9, and 11. And CJ had 20, 23, 9, and 8. And, of course, Valanciunas, 10, 8, and 3. And Larry Nance Jr., 13, 2. And I don't see Larry Nance doing that again. But when they move back to New Orleans. But, what you got is one of the best closers in the NBA, and C.J. McCollum. Of course, remember, he was at Portland with Dame, and those two just were deadly at the end of the games. They can get to the shots. They can get to their spots. They can pretty much do whatever the hell they want to do. And, once they got on a roll last night, there was absolutely nothing the Suns could do. And then on the Suns side, Booker had 31, 1 and 2. And remember, he didn't play half of the third quarter, none of the fourth quarter. But then when you look at the rest of them, Ayton only had 10, 10 and 10. Chris Paul had 17 and 14. And Johnson, of course, he really didn't show up. He had a horrible game on the 11 and 4. And then it's bad when JaVale McGee has to get 10 points for you. You're struggling right there. So that had a lot to do with that when I was breaking down the game and looking at it. I think the Suns will be fine if Devin Booker is not seriously injured. If he's injured, the Suns are going to I think they'll still beat the Pelicans, because I don't know if the Pelicans can keep that up, even though Brandon Ingram was absolutely fantastic last night. The Lakers are probably thinking, why did we get rid of him again? But anyway, so that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. When you look at the T-Wolves and the Grizz, I predicted that the Grizz would come back and handle their business against the T-Wolves. I think my boy Drew Tanthorn had them +7. We figured that the Grizzlies would win, but we thought it'd be a lot. We didn't think they would get blown. The T-Wolves would get blown out like they were. And like he and I had talked about, I think that the Grizzlies are going to give the Suns more of a challenge than the T-Wolves would. And when you go and you look at the bracket in the West, Phoenix is at the top, Memphis is at the bottom. So they won't be seeing each other anytime soon. So that's going to make it a lot easier for Phoenix to get healthy, because they do have the Dallas-Utah matchup. Those two it's going to be a slugfest. So we'll see how that goes with that. But when I look at the T-Wolves and the Grizzlies, and you see, last night the the Grizzlies had 7 guys in double figures. Jackson 16, Bain 16, Ja 23. Thompson 13, 113, Jones. It was just Clark 13. They were unbelievable. 7 guys in double figures. Where the Wolves, on the other hand, that beast Edwards 20 and 6, Carl Anthony Towns 15 and 11, and of course D'Angelo Russell 11 and 4. So I look at these two games, and Clearly, the Suns have to be worried whether Devin Booker can come back. If he does, I think they'll handle the Pelicans 4-2. The T Wolves, on the other hand, they did what they needed to do. They got the split. So did the Pelicans. That's what you want to do. Like we're talking about, you want to go 1-1. You want to get one game on the road, and it's almost like the T Wolves were like, "Hey, look, we got our game. It's fine. You guys can have this. We'll head on back to Minneapolis, and we'll see what happens in that." It's kind of what it kind of looked like to me with that. But then when the game that I was really, really interested in was the Hawks and the Heat. And I looked at this game, I thought, man, this is going to be a good game. I was looking forward to Trey really stepping up and coming back and doing putting on a show and doing some work. That's what I kind of thought was going to happen. Trey did have a good game, but he had too many turnovers, and it just really cost him in key situations last night. So he's got to do a better job of taking care of the basketball. But overall, I thought Trey played really, really well, and he brought them back. And when you look at the Hawks, and you look at the score, only lost 10, but of course, Drew, hint on for Husker Drew Picks.com had taken the Heat -7, which was a good pick, and I think Drew went 4-1. I think the only game he lost, well, no, he lost the Wolves, but then he had the over on the Suns. Okay, so anyway, I think he went 4-1 or 4-2, something like that. Anyway, so when you look at the game and the box score, Trey had 27, 7, and 6, but he also had the turnovers, which I think he had 10 turnovers, which just absolutely just destroyed him last night. He had some bad turnovers, but once again, I think Trey was trying to do way too much. He's trying to overcome everything, and Bogdanovich was there with him with 29 points and 3 assists, 4 rebounds. So Bogdanovich kind of helped, which is why the Hawks were even in the game. But on the same time, on the other side, Jimmy Butler was just an absolute monster. 45, 5, and 5. He just dominated the game inside and out, and did everything he could. There was just nothing, absolutely nothing, that the Hawks could do with him to stop him. But the one thing about that, then of course, the thing that I like about Pat Riley and what he does better than anybody else, they get the right talent and they develop them. And with Strauss and Vincent, one had 14. Strauss was 14, 4, and 1. Vincent was 15, 2, and 3. And of course, Tyler Hero had 11, 3, and 1. And that's what I'm saying. When you look at Pat Riley, he's just, and in fact, he still looks good. I think what is Pat Riley, 75 or something like that? Looks fantastic. And of course, being in Miami, I'm sure doesn't it doesn't hurt. You go from LA to Miami. So that's interesting on how that works. And, Pat Riley, in fact, I don't know if most people don't know this, Pat Riley played on the Kentucky team that got beat by the team from Westland, which was the first all-black team playing against an all-white team, and they beat Kentucky and Adolph Rupp. I don't know if y'all know that. And Don Haskins was the coach of Texas Wesleyan, which is now UTEP. But anyway, they won that national title. He did start one of his white players on purpose to go 5-against-5 because at that time it was just a bad thing. But Pat Riley played on that team, which was interesting. That's kind of cool. And then of course he went on to play for the Lakers, be an assistant coach. Paul Westhead was an idiot. Got rid of him. Pat Riley came in with the GQ, looking smooth, hairpin back. And of course, Showtime was created. But when I look at what I'm saying is to get to all that, what Pat Riley does, Pat Riley takes players. He has a way to look at a guy and go, okay, that guy right there, we're 2 years into them, and then when he gets here, be ready to play. Or he's this. He's not 4 or 5 years down the road. He's 1 or 2 years. We can take this kid. We can do a lot with him. But what does he do? He looks for specific things that the Heat need, that Eric Spoelstra needed. When they went and found Eric Spoelstra, who started out as a video guy in a closet I believe it was in Portland. But Pat Riley saw something in him. He has a way of seeing things in certain kids and in certain people. And Pat Riley, what does he do? He comes out, he hires these guys, brings him in. Of course, Spoelstra what does he have to do? He has to coach LeBron and D. Wade. LeBron, one of the hardest personalities to coach, but he did earn his respect. And he actually, LeBron did listen to him, and LeBron respects him. And he respects Pat Riley, and he respects the organization, even though he left and went back to Cleveland because of some turmoil and some stuff that was going on with them. He needed to leave, and of course, LeBron is extremely intelligent, and of course, he had a plan. And my plan is to go to South Beach, win a championship, come back to Cleveland, win a championship, go to LA, win a championship, get to the movies, be a producer, do all these shows, take advantage of what LA has to offer. That's what LeBron's plan was, and he did well. Whereas Pat Riley, he's really simple. Give me guys who fit my system. We play good, tough, sound, solid defense. We want to be able to lock you up, and then we want to have some perimeter shooters, and we want to take you off the dribble. We don't want to necessarily be huge, but Bam Adebayo is a great, great player inside. What does he do? He defends. He's a rim protector, and he can also athletically take you off the dribble. So that's what Miami has. They have five guys who can handle the ball. They can take you off the dribble. They're very physical, but on the other side, what do? They're in your face defensively. And when you look at the Thunder and what the Thunder are trying to do, it's almost similar. Now, tomorrow, we're actually going to do a show, our After the Storm, which is our Thunder show. It's going to be our first show. So each week, I think on Thursdays, we're actually going to uh, have the Thunder, and every Thursday, I think we're going to do an After the Storm broadcast instead of the Unpopular Hour. I think we're going to do an After the Storm every Thursday, just talk about what's going on. And of course, tomorrow we're going to talk about the Thunder's position, the upcoming draft. Who do I think the Thunder need to pick? Who are we missing? Who are some of the guys out there? So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow on After the Storm, which of course is our Thunder broadcast. So, with that being said, everybody, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back, and then we're going to break down the rest of the conference as far as the NBA bracket and who's playing what, and give, of course, my boy Drew Henthorn of HuskerDrewPicks.com. We're going to give his picks for today as well. So everybody just be patient, and we'll be right back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. And you can see I'd like to thank my sponsors, of course, Collaborative Logic. And our guys over there, they're great IT solutions, and they do a great job of making sure that all my stuff is up and working. Of course, our SRB, and of course, their engineering, surveying, and planning, Ogo Trucking, and my boy Jose Fierro. If you have any trucking needs, need some stuff hauled, he's got a dump truck, and I know he's trying to just starting out. And so I appreciate his sponsorship and him trying to get better. So if you need any trucking, go to him. And of course, Napeco and my boys, the Nafy family, Max Nafy, Greg, and that whole group. So anyway, welcome back to the Unpopular Hour, Women Only Wednesday. Of course, I'm your host, Matt Clark, and we're talking once again about the NBA and what's happening with it. And in the first half of the show, we kind of broke down the Division or East bracket, because as we talked about the games today, there are no Western Conference games today. All the games are on the East. The Nets against the Celtics, the Sixers, the Raptors, the Bulls, and the Bucks. So anyway, I'm excited about that, to see what's going to happen with that. Uh, I'm pumped up to see what they're going to do, and I'm really, really excited about that. So anyway, let's break down the Western Conference bracket. Now, as we talked about last night, the Phoenix Suns lost to the Pelicans. Booker, of course, had 31 midway through the third quarter until he had some sort of hamstring type injury. So we're going to be interested to see what's really going to happen in that series, because I think that New Orleans will give them all they want if he is hurt. I still think Phoenix is the better team, and I think they will still win. But instead of that being a 5-game series, it could be 6 or 7. But so it just depends on how hurt he is. I still believe Phoenix will win the series because they are a better team, top to bottom. I don't see Johnson going and scoring 11 points again, missing wide open shots, and just play. He played terrible. Chris Paul was pretty good at 17 and 14, 14 assists, but you can't have JaVale McGee being your fifth leading scorer with 10 points, and Aiden only have 10. Aiden is your big guy. He only had 10 points. I mean, really, Valanciunas did a great job of taking him completely out, pretty much out the game. I mean, he did have a double double, 10 and 10, but he wasn't quite himself, and probably a lot had to do with Booker. Now, when we look at Dallas and Utah, like we said, that's going to be a dogfight. I was really, I knew Dallas would come back and get one for pride. I think they was going to win on pride. I don't think they were going to let Utah come in there and get two. But a lot of times when teams come in, they only want to get one. And like I've said before on my live stream, you want to get that first game. If you can get that first game, it makes all the difference. So most teams try to come in, they try to get that first victory because once you do that, it makes your life a lot easier if you can get that first victory down. And if you get that first victory down on the road, uh, if you get that first victory on the road, it does help. And a lot of teams, and what we're seeing is it's almost like the team in the second game is kind of like, if we can get the second one, great. If not, hey, let's just get out of here with one win. And now all of a sudden we have home court advantage, and we got to end this game in six or end the series in six because you do want to win game six at home. That's the whole idea of you want to get your two wins at home. You probably go back and lose game five. Then you have game six at your house, and that's the game you want to close out. So that probably has a lot to do with it. And so I'm interested to see that and see how that plays out. But hey, Drew, are you coming in? Is that you, brother?
Yeah, yes, sir. What's going on?
Hey, man, just breaking down the Dallas and Utah series, and we did a little bit of West, but we'll go back up and we'll talk about Phoenix and how Devin Booker went out midway through the third quarter last night,
Yeah,
and Phoenix was really in complete control when he did that, and then, of course, Brandon Ingram just went crazy.
yeah. Ingram's been in the weight room a little bit, hadn't he?
Yeah, he looks like it. You know, I was talking about how the Lakers may have wanted to rethink that trade, but
Yeah.
I mean,
You think you'd like to have? You think if you're the Lakers, you'd like to have Ingram and Kuzma and those guys about right now?
yeah. Well, I mean, I still like the team we had last year when you had Kuzma and you had Alex Caruso. I think you're missing them and KCP. I don't know, it's KCP so, but the other
Right.
two for sure. Brandon Ingram, I could kind of see that. I'd rather have AD than Brandon Ingram, to be honest with you.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
if I had my
Well,
choice, I can
maybe.
see
Well,
that.
Brandon Ingram plays 82 games almost. You get about 40 out of AD.
Yeah, but hey, we still have a W and we have a championship trophy. So you know what I'm saying? Okay, we,
Kind of.
we got number 17, even though it's in the bubble. And like you and I have discussed, if we weren't Laker fans, then we'd be like, hey man, that was in the bubble, that blah blah blah. But you're a Laker fan, like, hey, I don't care. A W's a
Uh-huh.
W. Nobody's trying to take away Toronto's W. Nobody's
Nope.
taking away their
Uh,
chip. So, but anyway, I think that the New Orleans, I do believe that it's probably going to go, depending on how hurt Devin Booker is. I still think Phoenix will win, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than it
but
normally would have been.
we talked about that before. I mean, they're just so deep. I mean, Chris Paul can succeed in that organization because they go 10 deep.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be the same with Booker though.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to have to step up.
Well, Cam Johnson's having, what did he have last night? 11. Dude,
Yeah,
he played
you got to
terrible
figure he'll
last night.
probably start the next game.
Yeah, he played terrible last night. He really truly
Mm-hmm.
did. I mean, I thought so. But if you got to get, if McGee is your fifth leading scorer with 10 points, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That if you got to get 10 out of him, that's you're in trouble. Dallas and Utah, on the other hand, I said, and you and I talked about that. I think Dallas did a great job of going 1-1, but they've got to
Yep.
get at least one, and they need Game 3 tomorrow night against Utah to probably get have any chance of Luka coming back and being somewhat
Yeah,
available.
you don't want to go back to Utah in a closeout game for them.
No, no. That place is ridiculously hard to play. And on the other side of that, Dallas, if Luka's there for Game 5 and it's 2-2, I'm all in. If it's 3-1,
Mm-hmm.
I'm out. And Mark Cuban is pretty good about that and understanding that, he's got the long term vision, not the short term. And so he's really good at that. And I think the Dallas fans have really bought into and trust his judgment when it comes to that. Now, Golden State and Denver. What is your pick? What is your thoughts on that?
Man, I just getting up there in the Mile High. You would think Denver's going to win one.
You would think.
I mean, yeah, and the Golden State is obviously a lot better at home than they are on the road. I mean, as most teams are, but they're not. And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think their road record is all that great.
No,
And
it has
I
not
like, and I know that they've struggled somewhat at Denver. So I look for Jokic. If you're an MVP, he's got to win one of them, right? I mean,
yeah. Which I don't think he's the MVP. I think you should have gave that to Embiid. I'm sorry, you can't be the fifth place team in the league and have the most valuable player.
I agree.
Ridiculous.
But I'm saying if you're in the running for the MVP and you're throwing your stats out there and you're supposedly one of the best players in the league, you got to win one game,
right?
Maybe
right.
two.
Right, I agree with that. But I still think the series is going to. I think they're going to get one. I think Golden State's going to be a 4-1 deal and then get healthy, because you and I talked about that Memphis, Minnesota. Boy, I tell you what, Memphis looked good last night, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. You called that. I really thought that Minnesota would cover that game, but Memphis came out and just put it on them.
Well, but you know what?
Ja didn't have the greatest of games. I mean, he played pretty well, but he struggled there for the first couple 2-3 quarters.
Yeah, he did. But the thing is that the thing with Memphis, they've got so much young talent. God dang, man, they've got some players there, Drew. You know what I'm saying? They've got some serious talent out there, and
they can go.
And I really like what I see out of them. But like you and I talked about, they have a much better chance of Golden State than Minnesota does. I just don't think Minnesota can keep up with them scoring wise. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's kind of how I look at that. Okay, so we're gonna do the games today, and then we're gonna go. I've already went over that, but we're gonna go over it again. Our games for tonight, or today's games, I should say. Of course, there's no Western Conference games, and then the Nets and the Celtics. You want to do your picks over all these, or then talk about them, or do you want to do? Okay, let's go to your picks. How about that? Let's go to your picks.
That's fine.
Let's do your picks, because the 3 games are there, so there's no sense in us, watching that deal. Let's go straight to your Drew Henthorne picks. Go ahead.
I really like the Nets tonight, straight up to win the game. I'm taking the money line plus 140. Spread's pretty much the same as it was Sunday. I think the Nets are half a point less of a dog. I think Sunday was 4. I think it's 3.5 now.
3.5.
Yeah. So, but I mean, we talked about this yesterday. I think the Nets are in a must-win situation. They got to win this game. If they go out 0-2, it's going to be trouble. I think they're just not deep enough of a team, I think, to go down 0-2 to Boston. So I think tonight's the night. You lean on KD and hope he gets you a W.
Well, one thing I think about KD tonight, he's gonna come out. he gonna do work on them. I can promise you that. And like I said, my problem with Boston, I've just never been that big of a Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown guy. I just don't think they can continue to play consistently over a 7-game series. I think they'll fade away one game, and they'll give you one game because they'll no-show. But on that being said, they've got to get one. I agree 100%. Because what is it if you go down 0-2? What is your
win 4 out of 5? I mean, what is it? 78% or something like that. Win series, something crazy.
It's something insane when you go up 2-0. The Sixers -1, huh?
That's a scary line, but you know what, that line, a lot of people will jump on Toronto and at home, and what they say, home court in the NBA is 4 points.
Yes.
But I just think the 76ers are the better team. I think Harden, like, I don't know if you caught Barkley last night, but said Harden had the most pressure on him of any player in the playoffs. I agree with that.
I agree too.
I think he's got the most to prove. I look for him to play well tonight. I just think
and Embiid called him out too. But you know what though? I want to tell Joel, dude, you can't be calling out your own players in public. What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And a guy you just got here, you gave up a lot to get him, and then you're going to act a fool? But Joel is a fool, as we know. He does. He says some stupid stuff. But, like I was saying earlier, they did not get James Harden for this series.
No,
they got James Harden for the Bucks and for Boston. That's why in Milwaukee. That's what they got him for. Okay, they got him for Milwaukee. That's why they got him. Okay, I mean let's face it. You know what I'm saying, Drew? That's why they got him.
Yep.
Now, the Bucks -10.
I think they
Bro,
run away and hide tonight.
dude.
Bucks, the Bulls are so beat up. It's sad because I think that would have been a good series if the Bulls were healthy. But I just think they don't have enough to stay with them. I think Giannis goes crazy tonight. They got no matchup for the guards. Their Bulls are in trouble.
Yes, they certainly are. I mean, it's just unfortunate that they did that. But I will say, and I said this the other day, that I thought that I have more respect for Billy Donovan than I did watching him here as a coach. There, watching him coach in Chicago, I have a little bit more respect for him than I did when he was here. I will say that I was wrong, and I don't mind admitting it, but I was wrong when it came to him. Now,
but it was a tough deal too. I mean, there was a lot of turmoil going on when Donovan was in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, there was. I mean, I agree.
Westbrook and KD feuding back and forth, and
I'll tell you this. I'll never forget that his first
Clay
game
situation. Yeah. I mean, all that kind of came into play.
Yeah, well, so funny is his first. I think it was his first home game the Thunder had, and Randy and I are sitting up in the stands. Our seats 207, and so we're sitting there.
It's a good seat.
Yeah, it's definitely a good seat. Hey, you know what we like about it? 4 steps. There's the bathroom. There's the bar, and there's the food. Everything is 4 steps away. Men's bathroom, the bar, and food. So it's great seats, because
you think they planned it that way, maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I laughed because they've been trying to get him to move down. He's like, why? 4 steps, men's bathroom, bar, food.
Yeah, all right there.
Where for what? To do what? No, I'm not going anywhere. But anyway, we're watching that, and so KD knocks down a shot. Then the very next series, he comes down, the next possession, knocks down one from farther. Comes down the next possession, knocks down one even farther. Comes down the next session, knocks one down, one from the logo. Then the next time there's a foul. All of a sudden, I forget who comes in. And, KD was always the first substitution. He would leave Russell in and pull KD out. And that was the way he did everything. So KD had just made 4 straight. He's hot. And so they get to sub, and so KD looks at him and he goes, You're coming in for me? Me?
Right.
And we were sitting there going, yeah, he's coming in for you. And I'll never forget this. KD was like, he had this face like, are you kidding me? He walks up to Billy. He's walking to Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan tries to put his hand or tries to say something to him. Kevin Durant goes, puts his hand in his face and walks right by my. Randy and I looked at each other like, he's gone. He's gone. He's out of here. And Billy Donovan, I understand you're trying to come in. You're a college coach. You're going to establish your dominance. No, that's the best player in the league. He's on fire. You don't get your normal substitution pattern. You take out Russell. You leave Kevin in the game because he's just made 4 straight, one from the logo. You know what I'm saying? You don't take him out. And I knew right then KD was done. But he wouldn't do that now as a veteran coach. He wouldn't do that now.
Right.
And now back to your picks. I've had several people say, can we get some Dodger love in here, man? Because all you do is those damn Braves. I know that's your squad, but Oklahoma City Dodgers is here, man. What?
Freddie stung us again today. 2-run home run in the first inning. I mean, good Lord. Did you see that? Did you catch that the other night?
Yes,
first
I
pitch,
did.
first bat against the Braves, and he hits a home run.
You see his son and runs over there and gave him a hug to his best friend over there. So I thought that was pretty cool.
This to me, watching him play for the Dodgers would be like watching Jordan play for Duke.
Yeah.
I mean,
dude,
unbelievable.
I'm going to say this. How loaded are the Dodgers?
Jeez. I mean, they win it. I mean, they should win it. They should win it every year. They got $330 million payroll.
Yeah, but Mookie Betts is a beast, dude. He is just, oh my goodness. They're just loaded. They're pitching.
Hey, man. But the Braves, my money line pick of the Braves last night was a winner. That was nice.
Okay, but can we get some Dodger love in here, bro? That's all we're saying.
I'm not going to. They fall in the same category as Duke for me. I'm not going to pick up my team. So,
okay, people, have you heard that? Drew Hithorn of Husker Drew picks, no matter what you Oklahoma City people want.
But
He
they
is
are good
not going to do the Dodgers.
right now. They're the favorite to win the whole thing. So, and they're tough. I mean, they up and down the lineup. They could put 10 runs on you every night.
Drew, you're cracking me up right now, bro. You right? You got my people all fired up now. They're gonna really be fired up now. You don't want to get no love. Okay, well we're gonna do the bracket real quick, huh?
Hey, that's all right. Hey, just let's just think back to November, and there's all the love you need.
Oh my God, is that what we're doing now?
I remember real clearly in late October last year what happened. So
okay, anyway, in the bracket deal here, Eastern Conference. Let's just switch this deal over real quick, and we'll go over Miami and Atlanta. I just think Miami's overmatched. Atlanta's overmatched. And Trey 10 turnovers last night, even though he had 27. He only had 7 assists and 10 turnovers. You can't do that, bro. Can't play like that. I mean, he had some horrible turnovers.
I don't know that Atlanta's going to win a game in that series. They're just overmatched.
They really are. I mean, Miami just top to bottom is just better than them. And then when you look at Philly and Toronto, we just talked about that earlier. I just think Philly, Toronto's got to get the game tonight. If they lose tonight, it's done. They may get swept.
I
got to get to one tonight.
And I think, and again, back to what we were talking about. I mean, I am just of the opinion that Philly's just the better team. I mean, sometimes, you can beat your head against the wall, but I just don't know that Toronto can beat them.
Yep, I agree. And then we agree Milwaukee's just gonna smash Chicago tonight, 2-0.
Yeah, so you should have. Tonight you could go into it with Philly having a chance to close out on Friday night, and then if the Nets win tonight, I think goes 7.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Milwaukee, was that plus 10 on your deal?
-10.
-10, I mean.
Yep.
That's a lot of points.
It's a lot, but it's probably there for a reason.
Yeah, it is. It is. And then Boston and Brooklyn, I agree with that.
And 10, that game could be 6, 7, 8 points, but you get in the fourth quarter and Chicago starts pressing and trying to shoot threes, that game can get out of hand quickly.
Yeah, we've seen it.
I look for that 76ers Raptors game to be low scoring. I don't see a bunch of points being scored in that game tonight. I think that for Toronto to have any chance at all, they got to slow it down.
Yeah, because you had under 217, right? Is that what you had?
Yeah. Yep. For Toronto to have any chance at all, they'll have to slow the game down. They can't run with Philly.
Yep. And then we're looking at the Braves 138 plus 138. How's that going for you thus far?
Yeah, they're down 2-0, top of the fifth.
My bad.
We gotta get in that Dodger bullpen.
Well, you will here pretty soon. We already know that. When you look at the Dodgers, it's just bad.
How crazy was that last night? You had the final at bat. You had Freddie Freeman in a Braves uniform and Henley Jansen or Freddie Freeman in a Dodgers uniform and Jansen in a Braves uniform.
I know. How crazy is that? Isn't that insane?
Nuts.
But hey,
Freddie's coming out on fire. He's got 2 home runs in this series. So do you think he gets booed in Atlanta or not?
Oh, he gets booed in Atlanta, no question.
I think so too.
But hey, who can blame somebody for taking money?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm not going.
It wasn't like the Braves didn't offer him 5 years, $150 million.
Yeah,
but wanted that 6th year, and the Dodgers have enough money to pay it.
Yes, and that's just ended up what happening. But it's just like the NFL, 3 wide receivers wanted to get paid. It's the same thing. Hey, go get your money. But now that Deebo Samuel wants to be traded, I'm like, where the hell are you going to go? You have no trade clause? No, you don't have that. They can send you anywhere. That's idiotic.
The Braves got nobody to blame with themselves on that. They had a chance to wrap him up last year before the playoffs started, and they chose not to do it and came back and bit him in the ass. Hey. But you know what? They picked up Olsen, and he's leading the league in on-base percentage and batting average right now. And he's a younger player. So
it ends up working out, but I'm a firm believer teams if you're gonna do it early and lock them in and move on down the road. You gotta have a happier guy. It's just gonna be easier. Now, I have a thing. Do they have what are the odds on Kyrie if he gets another a fine, or is he gonna get suspended? Because he's gonna be tempted to give another double bird.
What was the fine? I didn't see that. How much?
50.
Jeez. Seems steep. That's a lot of money.
What did he make this year? 19 million.
Sure. I mean, it's all relative, right?
I mean,
but boy, that seems
okay.
like $50,000 for flying the bird.
And remember, though, it is all tax deductible.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
I mean, really, it ain't really that bad of a deal. So, but anyway, bro. All right. Well, hey, we'll talk to you later. I hope your everything goes well. We're gonna bounce out. Like I said, tomorrow I'm going to do my After the Storm, and every Thursday I'm going to do the Thunder weekly broadcast instead of the Unpopular Hour. We're going to do a Thunder After the Storm broadcast, and I'm trying to decide whether to do that at the evening and continue to do the Unpopular Hour at 2 and do the After Storm in the evening, or switch up one day a week.
Just let me know. We need to do a little draft day special.
Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the Thunder, who are the draft picks, who we have, who are our options, where we're at, and just kind of go in depth and who do I think we should get. So each week, what I'm going to do is this show is I'm going to break down the Thunder players, the guards, how well they played, what's up, who do we can get, then the forwards and the centers, and then break down the draft on who we think the top guys are. Now I have them listed, but what we're going to do, Drew, is break it down and go in order. Who do we think these are the best guys in this draft, and who's coming up, and then who do they need? And then we'll talk about the Lakers too, on what you think they should do. So,
we need to look at. We got the NFL draft coming up too.
The NFL draft coming up, and of course, the NFL draft is. Let me see. Let me pull that up. It's Thursday the 28th, so it begins next Thursday, a week from tomorrow, and ends on Saturday the 30th. And that's going to dictate a lot what's going to happen with Baker Mayfield and also all these wide receivers, A.J. Brown and Thorian and all those guys.
Are you seeing the trade rumors for the Cowboys with Deebo Samuels?
Yeah, I heard that.
Wow.
But
boy, that's a game changer.
I don't see San Francisco trading him to the Cowboys. Why would you trade him in conference?
It says Twitter, Niner Deebo Samuels confirmed to count our reports of his trade request and how he'd look in a Cowboys uniform.
Yeah, but remember, he can't dictate who he get traded to.
Oh, he can. They're not trading him to Dallas.
No, they're not trading him to Dallas. I mean, that's idiotic. And in 49ers, if anything, John Lynch is not stupid. Okay? But they gave him a contract offer, but now he wants to go.
Yeah.
He don't want to be there, so, whatever. But anyway, bro, okay. So good luck on your picks today. Of course, that's my boy. Hey, and then send me those for tomorrow, and then I'll send you a link, and I'll talk to you later, and we'll figure out how we want to do the other thing and how we're going to do the show. So, but anyway, I appreciate you, brother.
Have a good day.
All right, you too. That was my boy, Drew Henthorn of HuskerDrewPicks.com. And like I said, go there. He was, I think, 4-1 yesterday. He's going to be pretty good today. I don't know about his Braves, though. My Dodgers are handling that business. Anyway, I wanted to wish him good luck with that. I'm sorry I couldn't help that. That's just me. I'm silly sometimes. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching this edition of the Unpopular Hour Women Only Wednesday. I'm your host, Matt Clark. Everybody be safe out there. Peace out.